Before I start, I want to introduce somebody. I've got my childhood hero and my lifetime friend here, Lou Ferrigno, and his beautiful wife, Carla. Give them a great Yager group welcome. Well, recently I heard about a lawyer that was getting out of his BMW. And as he's getting out of his BMW, this other car comes screaming by and rips his car door completely off. Well, when the police finally get there, the lawyer does nothing but whine and complain about all the damage to his precious BMW. Police finally get there, and the police officer goes, "You know what? You lawyers are so materialistic, you make me sick. Here you are, so worried about all the damage to your stupid car, you didn't even realize that your left arm was cut off." And he goes, "Oh man," looking down at his bloody left shoulder where his arm used to be. "Where's my Rolex?" Well, sometimes we have a tendency to focus on the wrong things, don't we? You see, the key to success has nothing to do with what you have, and everything to do with what you do. But the summer between my freshman and sophomore year at college, I had a near-fatal car accident, and my life took a totally different turn than I had planned on. But because of that, I know what tragedy is, and I know what failure feels like, but I also learned the steps to success regardless of where you're starting from. I want to talk about the 3 keys to peak performance. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to give you another one of those 7 steps to incredible riches or 10 days to completely transform your life talks. That's all marketing hype, and I'm into results, not hype. Let's face it, life's a journey, and every day we're learning and growing, and the 3 keys I want to share with you will enhance everything that you do and everything that you learn. Now, the point is, nobody's better than you. God planted the seed of greatness in each and every one of you, and we're here today to nurture that seed into the life that you deserve. Now, everything we're going to talk about today came out of my own personal experience. Several years ago, my wife and I moved from New York City to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I got a job in real estate, which is what I did in New York. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I was working in real estate, and I was growing another company from the ground up. And I was putting all my effort into work and really neglecting myself. And I found out real quick that that was very counterproductive because I was neglecting my greatest asset. I was neglecting my energy and my health. Before long, I was 30 pounds overweight. I didn't even realize it until one day I walk into the kitchen, and up on the refrigerator, my wife had hung this little cartoon picture from the newspaper. It was a little middle-aged guy, balding, fat, his belly hanging over his boxers, standing there in his boxers, one sock on, one sock off, and he's looking in the mirror. But what he sees is this incredibly handsome young man flexing his vibrant, muscular body. He thought he looked like Lou Ferrigno. See, in 1976, my mother and father brought us to the 1976 Olympics in Montreal. And because my track coach was an Olympic coach, I got to get down on the track. And I got to see Alberto Torito, who won the 400 and 800 meters. I got to run alongside Bruce Jenner. And I'll tell you something. I wanted what Bruce Jenner had. I wanted my face on that Wheaties box. But a couple of minutes earlier, I told you about that car accident. My nose got cut off. You saw it. I wasn't getting on a Wheaties box anytime soon. I wanted that, but it wasn't happening. But you see, the car accident ended that part of my life. But the car accident didn't end my life. Who in this room wants to take what life is offering them? No! I didn't want to take what life was offering me either. So I got on a subway, and I took the subway to the 59th Street Bridge. And I sat at the tip of the 59th Street Bridge, and I looked at Manhattan. And I kept challenging Manhattan mentally in my mind. I went after it. Then I started going in the New York Times, and I started interviewing for every job and every company that would meet with me. I interviewed with the best of the best on Madison Avenue. I got turned down by over 200 of them. The head of Hess Oil calls me up. He was a good friend of mine, Lou Romano. He ran Hess Oil all the time. He calls me up, and he goes, "I want to bring you to a black tie function in Manhattan. You'll meet the who's who of Manhattan real estate." So my wife and I got dressed up in our best outfits. We weren't too nice at the time, but we really thought they were nice. We got married them. And as I'm trying to network, this person to the right of me keeps asking me questions. And all the questions she's talking to me about are just building management questions, things I knew. They were the things the janitor could answer. I went in, I interviewed with him, and he gave me a job, and he gave me a shot. Now, I realized my second day at work that I knew nothing, that I was way over my head. I knew nothing about financials of a building. I didn't know how to write a letter. I didn't even know how to dictate a letter, no, write a letter. I didn't know how to do minutes. Minutes of the corporate records of the corporations of all the buildings that I was at. Probably the most important thing I had to do. So what I did is I knew these buildings had problems. So starting that very Friday night, I went to 7 Park Avenue in my work clothes. And I had my whole staff meet me there. 7 Park Avenue, it turned out, the sponsor of it was Harry Helmsley. I go there at midnight. I have my whole staff meet with me. I taught them how to polish the brass, how to buff the floors, clean the carpets, maintain their boilers properly so we'd save money on oil. I did whatever I could. Then the next Friday night, I did the same thing. But then the unexpected happened. Saturday morning, everybody at 7 Park Avenue wakes up. And they go, what's going on? I can see myself in the brass. The marble floors look incredible. The building never looked so good. And they said, well, we've got this young kid. He's the new property manager. You know, nice enough, real energetic, but he's kind of nuts. He comes in here on Friday nights and works with us. I ended up becoming the youngest senior vice president of any major real estate company in New York City. I ended up working for Harry and Leona Helmsley and others. I worked at 3 of the largest companies. And I got to a point where I was bored. I achieved the pinnacle. I was ready to buy a company. And in fact, I was looking to buy a company with Barbara Corcoran. She owned the largest brokerage company. And we were looking to partner with a property management company. Then the economy changed. We ended up losing a fortune, my wife and I. We ended up closing the business, which was heartbreaking. As you can imagine, when you have a dream and you lose a dream, it's heartbreaking. But what do? You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you get going again. I was mopping floors. I was doing whatever it took to be successful. But it never would have started if I would have gave up. It never would have started if I would have stayed home and felt sorry for myself. Never would have started if I did anything other than what I did, which is working full-time in real estate, working full-time as a janitor, and giving 100% of what I had to both positions. I did what you guys are taught to do. I filled my head with good stuff. Whenever I could, I listened to CDs and tapes. Back then it was tapes, they didn't have CDs. I read every book I can. But when I was working as a janitor and working in real estate, I couldn't do that. So what I did is I memorized the quote. And it was from Og Mandino. And it was, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And the hardest part is when I had to walk in the door and look at my 3 beautiful kids and into my wife's incredible eyes, knowing that we didn't have the money to pay the bills. I would repeat it to myself, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And Yager Group, I'm here to tell you today that failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough. Right? Who's better than you? That's right. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, what's interesting is that everything John talked about tonight, I do it every day. What John talked about tonight, which is very powerful, is taking action. But my motto also to add an asset to that, there's a famous saying that fear leads to anger. Then that anger leads to hate. Then that hate leads to suffering. What do? We embrace fear, we change from negative to positive. That's what you all have to do because you can't be afraid to take action. Every step you take, we're here for a short time. And we have to make the best out of life.
But the steps to success are the same. And Lou embodies it, not just in the body. Because I've known Lou. We talk on the phone. I've read his books. He's not just a body. He uses his body as a vehicle to touch other people, just as you can use your business to touch other people. It's just a vehicle.
Absolutely.